Let's talk works in progress and finished objects. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is my channel Slow Crochet. This is episode 021, and today I am talking about current works in progress and any finished crochet objects. Now, before I get into it, I do want to say a big hello to subscribers old and new. Thank you so much for coming along for this journey. I see you. I love reading your comments. I love responding to you, and I love being part of this YouTube community. Now, last week I had a couple of works in progress that I was able to finish this week, and I'm going to show them now. The first one is one of my little hedgehogs. I had made the entirety of the hedgehog, and I had not done the face. So I did the face. This face I did using a couple of black beads and some blue embroidery floss. And then I did a little brown nose using brown embroidery floss. So this hedgehog is the Diddy Hedgehog, and it is by Sarah Lyons, and she also has a YouTube channel. I will link her YouTube tutorials for both the first part and the second part of the hedgehog in the description below. My second work in progress that is now a finished object is a Lisa Stitch little neckerchief. So this was some mystery yarn. I think it was about a DK weight, and it turned out really sweet. So it doesn't go fully around a second time, but it would be a sweet little neckerchief to wear to maybe tie over on the side. And when I say Lisa stitch, I mean alternating single crochet and half double crochet. And as you go across your row, you stack up a single on top of a half double, and you stack a half double on top of a single. So it creates a sweet little pattern here and a really nice little texture. So this little project is one that I was making when I was sitting in church or on a car ride or something like that. It was very straightforward, and then I just did some basic increases on one side. And once I got out my yarn scale and I measured where I had about the same amount of yarn left as I had already worked up, then I just decreased the other way down. So this one will go in the donate pile. I do believe, even though it didn't have a label when it came into my possession, it feels like 100% acrylic. It does not feel at all like a natural fiber, but I will mark that and label it, and I will put this in my donation pile. Another work in progress that I did finish is my Procella shawl. And this is by Joy of Motion Crochet. And this called for, I believe it called for a sport weight yarn, I could be wrong, and it called for a larger hook size, but I used Yarn Bee Chloe, which is a 4-weight yarn, and this I had 2 balls of this that I got from the latest Hobby Lobby clearance, and I had previously created a project with it and frogged it and spun it up using my friend's yarn ball winder. And I have not blocked this shawl yet, but I will, because as you can kind of see, it's a very straightforward kind of wavy pattern, but once it's blocked, it will open up so much, and I think it'll be just beautiful. The previous shawl that I had made using this yarn was wonderful, but I think that this worked out a lot better. It turned out a lot larger. It's a nice long shawl, and it's not too deep down the back, so it'll work really well as a scarf or a shawl. Now I do have a recipient in mind for this, and I might put in some pictures later on when I actually do have it blocked, but for now I'm counting this as a finished object. I love how it turned out. I love how the colors really played out nicely in this simple and open and lacy design. With the 4-weight yarn, I used a size N or a 9.0 millimeter hook, so that kept it very light and lacy and drapey. Now, there were some projects that I had started that I was not able to finish, predominantly my elm slouch hat. Now, this is Tunisian crochet. This is my first time doing Tunisian. This is from Tony Lipsy's Tunisian Crochet Handbook, and this hat is worked flat and then it's seamed together using the Tunisian knit stitch. So I'm doing my best to make that work. Maybe it looks a little different than it does in the picture. I think that might be a matter of how you determine which loops are more forward and which loops are more towards the back. But as long as I'm being consistent, I think it'll work out. the back side of it looks very much like knitting as well, or maybe straight purling. If this is stockinette, then that would be, I don't know. I don't know enough about knitting to be able to say, but this whole brim was worked just with a regular crochet hook, and then you work across the length of it. So that is still in progress. Eventually it will look like this, maybe a little bit less slouchy than that, but I am getting close to having to start doing some decreases there. And my goal is really to just do maybe a couple of rows a day. It depends, because it is a little bit fiddly and I am learning, so it is taking me time, but I would rather take my time and enjoy the process and enjoy the learn. I do have a project that I started and finished, which led to a different project that I started that I haven't finished. How confusing is that? Well, I have not yet stopped being in the Christmas mode. And so one of the things I want to make this year is a Christmas sweater. I actually want to make two, but the first one, I needed to practice seeing how the Christmas tree that I wanted to put on it would work up. So I decided, rather than just make it like a swatch, I would turn it into something that could either be used or appreciated. And this is what I came up with. So this is my little practice Christmas tree. And the thought is to do a Christmas tree like this in the middle of a sweater. I think that would just be really funny and amusing and Christmassy. So this is my practice. Now I used 4-weight yarns on this. One of them is a mystery red. One of them is a Hobby Lobby clearance yarn. And I did a J-hook and I did just double crochets throughout. And I was practicing carrying my yarn. And then I also did a little star on top that I stitched on. So I did not like how loose the double crochets were. I thought for a sweater I want it a little bit tighter. So in the project that I did start, which I'll show you here in a minute, I did switch that up. I haven't started on the Christmas tree on the sweater itself, but for this piece I decided that it would be a Christmas present for one of my children's stuffed animals. This particular stuffed animal gets a lot of love, and this particular stuffed animal has had his own stocking, has had his own presents, and I thought that little stuffed animal could use a Christmas afghan. So this will be a surprise for one of my children this Christmas. So I'm still working on Christmas even though it's not July. And maybe I'll just work on Christmas straight up until November. We'll see. The other Christmas project that I have started is based on the Mod Christmas sweater by Breann Mauldin. Breann Mauldin. I am making it using my Red Heart Super Saver stripes in retro stripe and some basic white and some black. So I actually started this weekend, and I had to frog it because of some of the modifications I've made. Now, Breann Mauldin has another similar sweater that she has a free pattern for that is specifically for younger children. She used a different neckband than in this Mod Christmas sweater. So I adapted her pattern to use the neckband because I'm sure you cannot see this at all, but it is front post double crochets so that it has more of a ribbing there. I wanted to keep the ribbing so that it can go both at the neckline and at the cuffs and at the bottom. But I'm making my sleeves out of retro stripe, and I'm going to make the bulk of the sweater out of white, and then that Christmas tree will come in black is my idea. Hopefully it will all work out, but I have a beginning here. I got a little bit further than this, and then I realized that I had misunderstood or miscalculated how it was going to play out. So I switched from those double crochets to half doubles. So that's making a thicker pattern here, a thicker fabric. And because I switched to half doubles, when I first just was following the pattern straight out, I was getting it very wavy here. It was flaring out way too much because my rows were going up, but the height wasn't. And so the ratio, it was, instead of being nice and a narrow V, it was more like that, if that makes any sense. I'll try to put a picture in here so you can see. So I frogged way back, and I'm continuing it now. And this is not really a time-sensitive project, but I'm loving working with this retro stripe. It's actually quite soft, which surprised me. And it's really fun watching the colors play out. So the goal again is to get all the sleeves in the retro stripe, and then the cuffs will be black, and I'll do like a waistband in black. So that's that work in progress. That's all I have for you today in terms of finished objects and works in progress. If you've enjoyed your time here with me today, by all means, like, share, comment, subscribe. All those YouTube-y things are really fun, encouraging for me, and I'm really enjoying growing this channel and seeing what happens as I launch these little videos out into the wide world. If you are interested in following me in other kinds of media, I do have an Instagram account. It is Slow Crochet YT. You can find me on Ravelry at MercyTriumphs, and you can also email me at slowcrochetyt@gmail.com. All of that information is in the description below. If I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I do appreciate it, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Bye.